My grandpa used to tell me, you either live to eat or eat to live. Hey everyone, it's Jason, and I'm here answering your questions about Zen, meditation, your practice life, any kind of question. Today's question comes from somebody in the community about eating meat. Now, I thought I'd make a video about this since this is a question that comes up from time to time. And I want to talk about it from a practicing perspective. So first, let me read this question. Hey, Jason, I hope everything is well on your side. I have an interesting question for you if you're willing to answer. I wonder if the teachings about saving all beings is in contradiction to eating meat and animal products. I don't know if you or your family eat animal products, but I sure do, and I keep telling myself that I do it out of self-compassion to support my health and have an adequate nutrition. Am I delusional? Thank you in advance. Now, this is a very good question, and I think it's very important to look at, not only just about eating meat or animal products, but everything we do, everything we say. Is it benefiting ourselves and everyone around us? I think that's really the core of Buddhist teaching. When I hear this teaching, saving all beings, first of all, I think there's a lot of ideas about that, but how do we actually do that in our lives from moment to moment? I probably should make another video about that. If you look at the 5 basic Buddhist precepts that most lay practitioners will take in different traditions, they may look at this first vow, vow not to kill, may also mean vow not to eat meat. But in some traditions, and also the school I teach in, it's not about that. Vow not to kill doesn't have anything to do with eating meat. Now, if you take the 48 Bodhisattva precepts in our tradition, vow number 3 specifically says not to eat meat. But I don't want to get into the precepts or what they say and what they don't. I want to talk about it from a practicing point, because you're going to hear a lot of different opinions, a lot of strong views about should you eat meat, should you not eat meat. I once was listening to an interview with the Dalai Lama, and he talked about him eating meat, because at that time, he lived in an elevation in some part of Tibet that didn't have much vegetation. So they didn't really have many options for food, so meat was served to him. And he said whatever he was served, he ate. I would like to talk about 2 points about this topic. The first one is, why do you eat? I talked about this in my last video. It's a teaching that Zen Master Seung Song would often ask the students, why do you eat every day? Now, most people I would say, or many people I would say, eat because of desire. Now, eating out of just for desire is not good or bad. It just has a natural result, which ends up in some kind of problem, dissatisfaction, or suffering for ourselves and others. My grandpa used to tell me, you either live to eat or eat to live. And that really points to the direction. If we eat, we get energy from eating food. What do we do with that energy? Do we use it just for ourselves, or do we use it to help this world in some kind of way? The second point I want to talk about, which I mentioned earlier, is how are our actions and speech affecting this world? Everything we do or say is affecting everything around us. Many of the times we don't see it. So sometimes I give the analogy, if you throw a little pebble in a pond, the ripples go far and wide. So our actions, our speech is affecting everything around us. Sometimes we don't see it. So I think it's very important to look at this closely, because this world is not getting smaller. Many more people are appearing in this world, and it's feel like it's getting we're getting a little bit closer to each other. So actually seeing the results of our actions and speech are becoming more clear. So again, not just talking about eating meat or animal products, everything we do or say is affecting everything around us. So look at that very closely. I think the third point I want to talk about is my own personal experience. Now, as a kid, I grew up eating meat, but when I moved into the Zen centers, now I lived in the Zen centers for, I think, a total of 12 years, and the Zen centers were always vegetarian. So I just adapted the habit. Living in a Zen center, doing retreats, was eating vegetarian food. In fact, just looking back on it, I think I've always just felt best eating a vegetarian diet. And what I mean about that is I just felt more clear. Sometimes I would have more energy, but I'm not really talking about energy. I just felt more clear. Really can't explain it. Now, there was a period of time several years ago where I was eating a specific diet, which required a lot of fat and protein, and I was experimenting with different meats and things like that. Now, I always chose meats that were humanely raised, whatever that means. I mean, you can do your own research about all of this stuff. But I did made some conscious effort to see where the source was coming from. Again, just seeing how my actions were affecting everything around me. So when I was doing this specific diet, I definitely lost a lot of weight. I was having a little bit of health issues, nothing major. I was getting a lot of energy. I was experimenting a little bit with fasting as well. But again, intuitively, something just felt off for me, and I can't really explain what that is. So it was, some of you know that every new year, in the beginning of the year, I always take a look about what I'm doing. Are my actions benefiting others? Is what I'm doing serving myself, serving my family, my friends, serving others? And my kids happen to be vegetarian, and I think that just had to do with when my first was born, Miles, some of you know, he was born in the Providence Zen Center. And again, it was a vegetarian situation, so he ate vegetarian. So he grew up eating vegetarian food. Then my daughter ended up being a vegetarian. So I also decided it was very difficult to kind of make meals for people. So is this easier if I just ate vegetarian food, that it'd be easier to cook for the family. So that's one thing I noticed is when I started going back to eating a vegetarian diet, it just felt clear. And again, I can't really explain it. And I talk about this a lot in my videos about making decisions in life, because a lot of the times we get caught up on like what's right and what's wrong. Is this good and is this bad? And I think it's really taken us away from the path, or taken us away from actually being clear and authentic in this moment. So with most things in my life, I decided to kind of follow that intuitive feeling, and it happens to be eating a vegetarian diet. Karma is just cause and effect. So everything we do and say has a natural result. There's really no way out of that. So we really need to take ownership of our lives, take ownership of our practice, and practice meaning manifesting our true nature in this moment. But what's the purpose of doing that? Again, it's helping ourselves and everyone around us. So this teaching about saving all beings includes ourself. So it's not just about ourself, but it's also not forgetting ourself. It's from moment to moment. Something appears in our life. We become one with that moment, that situation, and we respond with love and compassion. So if we start trusting that a little bit more, using our practice to trust our intuition, to trust what feels right. And what I mean by feeling right, it's not an emotional thing like it feels good or I feel happy. It's just something that is correct. But correct, it's really hard to talk about this. Not correct meaning not correct or right or wrong, but it just feels right because it's moving with the moment as it's arising. It's becoming harmonious with the rest of this world in this moment. So I think these three things are very important to look at. I hope this video was helpful in some way. If it was, you can let me know by liking the video. Please share it with others if you think someone can benefit from it. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Also, I'd like to hear about your thoughts about this topic, about saving all beings and eating meat and the precepts. Be very interested to hear about that. Okay, that's it for me. And as usual, I hope to see you very soon.